Ash Ketchum is a problem, and I don't mean the whole how old is he thing. I don't care about that. As the default protagonist of this franchise, Ash is always at the center of every story, even if it doesn't make any sense for him to be there. He's such a fixture of the Pokemon anime at this point that he's just expected to be involved in everything, even if there's no narrative reason for it. The movies are where this jumps out at me the most. Case in point, Pokemon Forever. A kid from the past named Sam accidentally gets transported to the present by Celebi's crazy powers and has to find his way home by tracking Celebi down and befriending him. That's a pretty clear arc for a movie, and it sets up Sam as the protagonist of a fish out of water story. But every time something important happens or there's an emotional moment, Ash is the one who does it. Even though he has no personal connection to any of these characters or events or Celebi, Ash elbows his way in and just does the stuff that's supposed to be meaningful. Only it isn't meaningful when Ash does it. It would have been meaningful if Sam did it because this is Sam's story. He's the one on a journey. He's the one who has everything to gain or lose. He's the one with a connection to Celebi. Ash just sort of wandered into someone else's story and took over. This same thing happens all over the Pokemon movies, but the most egregious example is Pokemon The Power of Us, where the supporting cast is made up of a girl struggling with the trauma of a serious injury through the metaphor of catching and training her first Pokemon, an elderly woman who hates Pokemon because of something awful that happened in her past, a middle-aged man whose compulsive lying drives away his family, a mayor who, despite being a good man, has to protect the dark secrets of his city. A little girl who just wants to help her misunderstood friend, even if it means doing something terrible. And a scientist who could very well save the day if only he could learn to deal with his crippling social anxiety. This movie is bursting at the seams with supporting characters that could and should each be the protagonist of their own movie. And not only are they all crammed into this one movie, none of them get nearly enough screen time or development because we have to focus on Ash and give him a number of cool action scenes throughout the film and stop the movie dead so he can deliver a cringy speech about how the power of friendship can do anything. Hell, this movie starts with Risa setting off on a journey to catch her first Pokemon, something she's never done before and knows nothing about. It would make so much more sense if she was the point of view character that we followed through the whole thing, crossing paths with and learning from the rest of this awesome new cast. Imagine how much more impactful the final battle of the movie would have been if Ash wasn't there and it was everyone else who had to work together to subdue a wounded Zeraora. If the things they learned about themselves along the way came to a head and let them make a difference when it mattered most. That kind of happens, but all of their personal victories are off to the side and never given the same kind of gravitas and importance as Ash defeating this rampaging super monster. At the end of the day, whenever I think about Pokemon, I always think back to the handful of the games that I've played, and how one of my favorite things about them is the fact that in every one of them, you play as a random nobody. Part of the fantasy of Pokemon is that the character going on the adventure could be me, could be you, could be anyone. It doesn't need a big name protagonist because the appeal of Pokemon is the world of Pokemon and how a person like you and me might navigate it. I understand the need for a character like Ash in a long-form continuing series like the Pokemon anime, but it's a real shame that the movies don't take the opportunity to break away from that and tell contained stories about new protagonists, just like the games do. And it's really weird to think that after 20 or so animated movies, the first Pokemon movie that seems like it's going to give me what I want is Detective Pikachu. So what do you think of Ash Ketchum as a protagonist, and do you think the movies would be better off without him? Or maybe I'm just crazy. Either way, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.